I stare at the photograph, my hand trembling slightly. It's a shot of my own living room, mundane and familiar, yet subtly, terribly wrong. Behind the armchair, where only a wall should be, a shadow stretches, too long, too defined, hinting at a presence that was never there. But the camera captured it. And now I can't unsee it. My name is Alex, and for years, photography has been my quiet escape. I love the tangible feel of an old camera, the click of the shutter, the anticipation of a developing image. A few months ago, I stumbled upon a cluttered antique shop on the edge of town. It smelled of forgotten histories and dust, and tucked away in a glass case, I found it, an exquisite, well-preserved vintage instant camera. A beautiful SX-70, its leather worn smooth, its lens gleaming. It called to me. The owner, a frail man with spectacles perched low on his nose, gave me a peculiar smile as I paid. "She has a way of seeing things," that one, he'd murmured, eyes glinting. I laughed it off, attributing it to an old man's whimsical ramblings. I took the camera home, cleaned it lovingly, loaded it with fresh film, and began to shoot. Initially, it was a joy. Portraits of friends, cityscapes, quiet moments in my apartment, all came out with that characteristic, nostalgic instant camera charm. The colors were warm, the focus soft, the imperfections endearing. Then, the glitches started. The first time, it was a photograph of my friend Sarah laughing in a park. Her face, usually so vibrant, was unnaturally blurred around the edges, almost like a faint, dark smudge had trailed her smile. I chalked it up to a shaky hand, or maybe a minor film defect. It happened again a week later, a shot of my bookshelf, and in the reflection of a framed picture, a tiny distortion, like a ripple in water where there should have been none. I dismissed it. Old cameras have quirks, right? These were just charming eccentricities of an analog device. But the anomalies grew bolder. A photograph of my own reflection in the hallway mirror showed a subtle, almost imperceptible elongation of my shadow. A portrait of a quiet cafe interior had a corner of the frame plunged into an impossible, inky blackness, a void that simply wasn't there when I took the shot. I started to scrutinize each developing print, my initial excitement slowly curdling into a knot of unease. I found myself holding the photographs at arm's length, tilting them in different lights, searching for the trick, the flaw in the film, the logical explanation. Each time, logic eluded me. I began to develop a routine. Take a picture, watch the square develop, my heart thumping a little faster with each passing second. It became a perverse ritual. I captured my apartment, the street outside, familiar faces. And in almost every frame, it found a way to manifest. A figure in the distant background of a street photo, too tall, too gaunt, melting into the urban landscape. A faint, almost translucent silhouette hovering behind my own shoulder in a selfie I dared to take. It was never clear, never sharp, always on the edge of visibility, like a persistent phantom in the periphery of my vision. I started feeling a cold dread whenever I picked up the camera. Its vintage charm had transformed into something else, something heavy, almost malevolent. I tried to ignore it, tried to put the camera away, but a strange compulsion always drew me back. It felt like the camera wasn't just capturing reality, it was observing it, and in doing so, it was altering my own perception. The lines between what the camera saw and what I saw began to blur. I'd glance at a doorway, and for a split second, I'd swear I saw a deeper shadow there, a momentary flicker of an unnatural form, exactly as it had appeared in one of my unnerving photographs. My apartment, once a sanctuary, now felt watched. The silence stretched, and every creak of the floorboards, every settling of the house, became a potential movement of an unseen presence. I would find myself turning sharply, expecting to catch a glimpse of something, only to find the room empty, save for the oppressive weight in the air. One evening, sitting in my living room, the camera resting on the coffee table, I felt it strongly. A pervasive chill, a sense of eyes on me, heavy and constant. I could feel the hair on my neck prickle. My breath hitched. I knew, with a certainty that iced my veins, that it wasn't just in the photographs anymore. It was here, in this room, with me. The camera seemed to pulse with a faint, dark energy, its lens an unblinking eye. My hand, cold and clammy, reached for the camera. I lifted it, my fingers fumbling with the shutter button. I aimed it blindly at the space behind me, the spot where the long, impossible shadow had first appeared in that very first unsettling photo. The flash popped, a harsh, revealing white, momentarily blinding me. The camera whirred, ejecting the square film. I watched, mesmerized and terrified, as the image slowly materialized. First, the familiar contours of my living room. Then, emerging from the dark, a form began to solidify. It wasn't a shadow this time, nor a blur. It was a figure, tall and gaunt, its limbs unnaturally elongated, its head tilted, almost touching my own reflection in the glass of a picture frame behind me. Its form was made of pure darkness, yet it was undeniably, terrifyingly present, its void-like eyes seeming to bore directly into the lens, into me. A cold, bony hand, with fingers too long, appeared to be reaching, not from behind me, but from within my own shadow. I dropped the photograph, my scream caught in my throat. I felt a frigid breath on my neck, a pressure against my back. The camera hadn't just captured it. It had let it out. The camera sits on the floor now, abandoned, its lens staring into the oppressive gloom of my apartment. I can't bring myself to touch it, or even to look at it for too long. But I know it still sees. And I know whatever it sees, whatever it has shown me, is now no longer confined to a single instant photograph. It is here, a silent, unseen companion, lingering in the shadows of my every waking moment, brought into my reality by a lens that saw too much. Perhaps you, too, have an old object with a peculiar history. Think twice before you let it show you things. You never know what might decide to follow you home. If these dark stories resonate with the shivers down your spine, consider subscribing to Dark Stories. There's always another tale waiting in the shadows.